I don't think you can keep that in. Is it possible? Possibly.
You couldn't.
Well, it's interesting. I don't want to make some comments. I'll let you guys. I'll say something after. But what do you think? Should we keep it confidential? Some people would advise don't tell your spouse, keep the relationship, what they don't know. You know what they say, go to Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of affairs taking place there.
Probably.
So what do we do?
Well, I was going to bring that situation up, like, there are a few people, because when you're married young and you're married while you're in the so-called, early 20s, like 20s, you're still partying, you're still young. Sometimes you get into a situation where you sleep with somebody and then you go back to your girlfriend or boyfriend in the morning, you're like, I don't even remember her name. Would you tell that person? Sometimes a lot of people don't, because they're like, oh, it was just someone, I'm never going to see that person. Is that okay? No. Do I think that they should disclose it? I don't know, I'm kind of iffy about it, because it's just so hard, because you're like, I knew somebody that was so close to, I think there were 2 weeks before marriage, and it was a fashion party, and then there you have it. Would he disclose it to his soon-to-be wife and then destroy the whole relationship? No, he just kind of kept it, right? And that's where my fear comes in. It's like, did my husband ever do that? You know what I mean? Because so many other people do it too.
Yeah. But it seems like to be the norm right now.
Yeah, sometimes you think of the situation, but would he tell her afterwards? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think disclosing it is, I don't know, depending. I would never agree to them keeping it for sure, that secret.
Okay.
Because it's so.
But it would be when you think about the consequences of it. I understand that. But I believe there's consequences either way. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, it's no question that any type of secret, usually the bad ones, they are destructive, and they will disturb your current life. So I don't know if it's a hard thing to talk about, because
it is.
I don't know if, like, let's say I don't know if I would want to know. So I'm coming from that side,
That's true. There's some.
I'm not
I
don't know if I want to tell them. It's more like, I don't know if I would want to know.
No.
If it was one time, I don't know if I want to know. No. I would be.
Don't break my dream.
Kind of, but then at the same time, you're also thinking, if it happened, Veronica says something important about preventing it. Preventing an affair from even happening. So it's like, what can I do to prevent that from ever happening? To the point so that you don't have to wonder, I don't want to know if you cheated on me with somebody. Just leave it. Let's just hide it. But I don't know. I'm on the fence if you should disclose that information. I mean, if it's a repeated offense, then then obviously you need to talk about it. But at the same time, I think about it from just from like my personal volunteer time working with child sexual abuse. You have to disclose that information. Yeah. So, do you disclose an affair? I think yes. Personally, I don't know if I want to know, but in general, I think you do need to, because that's the whole communication component in your relationship or marriage. Being honest and working through that, If I was in a marriage and my husband was repeatedly cheating on me, I don't know if that marriage would last. But if it was a one-time slip and you're like, and it's a recent marriage, you're kind of like, oh, like you're fighting it. You're into this new stage in your life where you're like, what do I do? You're just learning, you're just getting to know your partner. You're getting to know what marriage means. You're getting to know all of these different aspects of your life that you weren't involved in before, that, sometimes someone might slip. You got a little too crazy at a party, and then there you go, you have it.
Sometimes it would be good if you did disclose it early in the relationship, because you're like, okay, what made you do that? Is it because you're missing your single life, or is it because of me? Like, what can I do?
And it might not be anything about, that's true, and it might not be about, usually it's about their own personal issues.
Exactly. So there may be issues that they need to tackle for themselves, What made me do that?
Okay, but keeping the secret. Even though I haven't verbalized it, because marriage is such an intimate relationship, on an emotional, on an intuitive level. I mean, even if your partner is off, a little bit off, you know about it.
Yeah,
You can sense all those things. So keeping the line. In fact, I was just researching one of the papers that went along with keeping the line. Should I tell or should I not tell? That at an intuitive level, at an emotional level, we actually give the same, respond in the same way as disclosing. Because we pull away, we start withdrawing. Not only that, we're feeling guilty.
Your body language would show something.
And we're also distancing ourselves because we're holding. So all those things, even though, so at an intuitive level, your partner is already, or your wife or husband is already knows there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But they can't put their finger on what is it, what is
But
being
What's
not just the fact that someone cheated on you or had an affair. Look past that. Besides your heart or your marriage being destroyed, what about STDs? What if your partner had sex with somebody and then bringing something back to you that can be permanent and lifelong? I would want to know and then get checked because
absolutely
that could destroy you.
So when you go for your regular checkup, suddenly you picked up something, you go, how did I
All
get
of a
this?
sudden I have herpes or some terrible other AIDS. Who knows? There's a lot of things out there.
So it's a double betrayal. It's a betrayal of relationship and then a betrayal of violation of my physical self. Because now you've chosen to do whatever you want to do, but now you've also harmed me physically.
Yes.
So it's a double thing of now can I even forgive you from that?
Yeah.
And so those are some of the issues out there. Well, it's really interesting working through. I do work from the perspective that we can, but it's hard work. And when I started with a lot of my couples, people are sometimes on the same page, even with lying, because we got to start with honesty. So I always say we just start with what you believe to be true. If they're still carrying on with the affair, it's going to come out. You will know it because I'm pretty straightforward, black and white and direct, because you can't be any other way. When you deal with addictions, you're confrontive and black and white. Affairs are like an addiction. You got to deal with it very black and white. There's no other way around that one. You have to deal with it straightforward. So you're going to know. And so I say, let's get started. People don't think it's going to be that hard. Then they get in and they find it's very emotionally and draining and grueling, and you're doing a lot of self work. And you're wondering, can I do this? Can I do this? And so those are really hard questions. But I work with couples to bring them to that other place, and we can. I've discovered that we can. Well, we're in the helping profession. Why? Because we can.
Yes.
People can change. That's my premise. Can they and do they want to? It's up to them. But can we change? Absolutely, we can. Can we have something good? Absolutely, we sure can. But it's hard work. I'd love to get some of your comments as well. What do you think? Can people recover from a divorce? I'd love to hear, not divorce, from affairs. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Well, this has been a very interesting discussion so far today, and our third question that I want to put on the table is to talk about open relationships and sexuality. I thought maybe before we get too far into the discussion, maybe we might just give our definition of what we understand open relationships to be, so that we have some framework. And I know that maybe even the viewers might have their own interpretation of that. So let's sort of define it for this discussion, and we'll go from there. So what do you think open relationships are?
I think that my definition of an open relationship is having relationships with another person or group outside of your own relationship. And does that work? And
my definition is probably very similar. Take a couple that's married and they agree to have sex outside of the marriage. To me, that's what open relationship means.
I think the open relationship is not necessarily a marriage, but any committed relationship where the two people decide that they can just have sexual relationship with people outside of their monogamous relationship.
Okay.
That's my definition of open relationship.
Okay.
Open relationship to me is with the couple, either married or not married, because there's a lot of common laws nowadays. Commit to each other, saying that both of them agree that they can go outside of the marriage to have another relationship. So it can either be sexually, sometimes 99% it is, but also emotionally they could go out with somebody else, and then that person could, the wife or the girlfriend could be friends with the person outside of the relationship.
Yeah, and there's different variations on how it's expressed. It can be expressed privately, it can be expressed through an internet connection or a group, or it can even be groups that you can actually join to be a part of some of that interchange. But today I think since that is a discussion for today, and what some of the individuals today are facing and confronting, and what I see also in the counseling area is the talk about open relationships, its effects, but mostly I was thinking about, I guess the question I want to put down now is, can we be monogamous commitment-wise, and can we be non-monogamous sexually when we are in a committed, whether married or non-married relationship?
I don't think you can. Just the fact that, what's my opinion, is that if you're in a committed relationship, being married for so many years like we have been, and suddenly there's another person that, or couple or situation that you're in, I think the jealousy would probably just bother you and eat at you inside about, is that person more fun than you are? Are they having a better communication? Are they being satisfied more than how you're doing your own relationship? And it's almost turn into a competition, or your feelings. I think your heart would just hurt too much. And you may think it's okay to spice up your relationship or bring it to another level, bring some excitement back, but I can't see it working, because you would just always have in the back of your mind, is it better? Or is something better out there than what we have?
So that's what you would be thinking, that if your wife decided, or if you decided to participate in an open relationship, you'd always be questioning.
Yes.
Would you be seeing that other person as better, or would you you would start doubting yourself?
I would start to feel inferior if the person came back. Oh, you look like you had a really good time, or it would just start to hurt.
Your self-esteem would
be battered, crushed.
Well, what about you're talking about if she went out, but what about if you were together in a relationship and you saw her enjoying herself more with this other person than you?
That would just eat.
That would destroy you.
Yes. I couldn't do it.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
What's your take on
I agree. I could never, ever do this. It may make sense in your head that, this is a way to spice up our sex life, spice up our marriage, make it more interesting. But at the end of the day, you can't control how your heart's going to react to the jealousy factor, or the feelings that are going to come as a result of that. And if you have children and you're doing this, and something goes sideways, and say the kids are going to start sensing that their mom and their dad, or there's something going on, they could start arguing, the kids might overhear something, and God forbid if they heard, you were with so-and-so, you like him better, or whatever, those children might need counseling for the rest of their lives. Like, it could really mess them up.
So a betrayal for them. So even though it's consensual, it may be consensual for you.
Well, it might be.
And the children won't see that necessarily as consensual. They just see it as a betrayal, perhaps. Perhaps. Okay.
Yeah, it's...
What do you think?
Open relationships are an interesting topic, because, I know people that are in open relationships and it works for them. They're fine with it. They have no problems. But then I wonder...
How does it work?
Are they new relationships, or are they...
They're not married. They're just committed to each other.
No children then?
No children. No children are involved. It's fairly recent, but, it seems like they're committed to each other. But at the same time, I wonder, how committed are you if you are okay with bringing someone in,
Good question.
If you're... And it's not just... They have decided that they're in this open relationship, and they will welcome a third or fourth person into their bedroom. But at the same time, I personally, I don't know if I could do it. Because there is the jealousy factor, right? I think about it like when people have relationships on the side. You are, seeing this person, sleeping with this person, and you think, I'm not emotionally attached, but then all of a sudden you start to get jealous because you hear that person's with someone else. And then, so I think I kind of see more like